see his fortune?
I did.
It's appropriate.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. The time is 7 p.m., and I will now call this meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. The next item on tonight's agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. I think there was a change.
Yeah, I would like to add one item. We have under appointments of boards and commissions, 5 appointments for its Strategic Capital Improvement Commission, but as we did at the last meeting, we had a discussion of those names. So I would just ask that we add a new agenda item right ahead of item 11, make it the new number 11 and make that 12, and just call it Strategic Capital Improvement Commission appointments discussion. And then from there, we can go right into the votes.
Okay. So we'll talk about the potential
Yes.
appointments. Okay.
Yep.
Is everyone okay with that?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I think Mike seconded that. I did. Great. All right. Next up is the approval of minutes from our regular meeting on November 20th. Has everyone been able to review those minutes?
I will make a motion that we approve those minutes.
I'll second that.
Thank you both. All those, any errors, changes, or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, great. So we'll move on to item 5, which is communications and correspondence. Andy Bauer is here with us this evening with an important update on our solar panel project that we've been working on the landfill. But before we get into that, I did want to talk about the communications that I shared with the town, with the board last week regarding my status as first selectman. So I am resigning effective January 1st of 2025. And so this is a big decision for me, and I want to just say thank you to everyone on this board, and thank you to everyone here in public and to the town at large. It's been a privilege to serve as first selectman, to serve Portland as town clerk, and to serve Portland on the board of selectmen for 13 years. And this, this is something that, for myself, it's an opportunity that I could not pass up, and I don't take it lightly, but I want to ensure that the transition is as smooth as possible. I made sure that I am able to assist the town of Portland for a period of 6 months to make sure that a transition is smooth, to make sure that projects do not fall behind. So I'm going to make myself available. That'll be up to you if you want to take me up on that offer or not. But I believe that Portland is in a really good place today. I know we've all accomplished so much working together over these past 3 years. I mean, if you just drive around town, there's been a lot of good that we've done. And so it's been a privilege to serve with all of you, as well as I see Ralph in the audience. It was a privilege to serve with Ralph as well. I'm going to miss you all. I won't be very far. And so January 2nd, I will be starting a new job. And so we'll get to more of that later, but I did want to, kind of talk about the elephant in the room before we carried on. So does anyone have any questions on the board, or do you want to talk about that later?
Talk about it later. I just want to say congratulations, Ryan.
All right, thank you. Thank you all.
Congratulations on the position.
All right.
Well deserved.
All right, Andy, you are up.
Thanks, Ryan. Andy Bauer, 256 Old Norfolk Turnpike. Speaking as chair of the Portland Clean Energy to you tonight. But first, Ryan, thank you for everything you've done. You've done a great job. You'll be missed. I do want to give you a couple of updates. I'm going to get to the landfill thing, but first, our solarized project was off to a really good start. We had over 24 people who attended our kickoff meeting. It's going till December 31st. So anybody who is interested, there is a link to sign up for a free one-to-one online consult with Shimei Mahias, who is our solar rep from Earthlight. And that's on the clean energy page of the Portland website. Solar, batteries, or both. And just to kind of like...
Could you just lift up the mic a little bit?
I can do that.
Perfect.
How's that? Better? Okay. And just to get you thinking about it, we talked about EV charging stations a while ago. I know budget time is getting closer. The Clean Energy Task Force does kind of rush last time through no one's fault, but there you have it. Okay, so Portland landfill. It has hit a speed bump. Our original estimation was that Green Skies would be breaking ground first quarter of 2025, completing mid-year. Approximately 2 months ago, Eversource notified Green Skies, our solar vendor, that the local circuit near the landfill site needed to be upgraded before a solar project could interconnect to the grid. Eversource did not offer a defined timeline for completing their work or securing the funding requirements. This came as a surprise to everyone involved in the project. Ryan and myself as chair, Ryan as first selectman, we drafted and submitted letters to Green Skies and to Pura, the Connecticut Energy Ombudsman, looking for as speedy a resolution as possible. The Energy Ombudsman is not a, I guess, Ryan, it's probably fair to say it's a mediator type role, not an enforcement type thing. But you know, we're basically saying, hey, we had a deal. Eversource response. Let's see. There's been a couple, and the latest is that they have provided an updated schedule of their work being completed by early 2026. You can see I'm reading from notes. I got these from Alan Savins, our Green Skies reps, and Rob Klee. Rob and Alan are two solar consultants. So the updated path forward is Green Skies will continue to develop the project on the anticipation that we will be funded. Start construction in 2025, interconnect to the grid when Eversource finishes their work in early 2026 or sooner. I'm available to try to answer questions, but that's essentially it in a nutshell. I wish I had more, like starting tomorrow.
Understood.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody. More updates as they.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
But
thank
it's
you very
coming.
much.
The important thing is it's
still
solar
on.
panels
It's
at
on the way.
the landfill.
Right.
It's just on hold. So please hold throughout 2025, 2026. We expect action. So thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. All right. That's it for communications and correspondence. So next up is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience? Okay. Don't be shy. Is there anyone online that wishes to comment? Okay. So before we close, just if it gets too hot, someone feel free to use the thermostat over there. Just I turned it up, and I don't know how high I turned it up. So
For the
I don't know.
record, for the record,
I don't
there
know
were
when it's going to
icicles in
stop.
here before
The energy guy's gonna turn it down.
The other one, Andy.
Saber just got up.
Okay. I just don't want it to be too hot either. All right. So if there's no public comment, we'll move on to our monthly budget report. Our finance director, Tom Robinson, is here with us this evening to go over the numbers with the board. How you doing, Tom?
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
How are you, Tom?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's not on there? You want to talk about it? No. But you might want to mention it, or I can mention it.
Good evening.
So we'll start with the revenues. Start with the revenues. On the first page here, we got to object 00010 property tax current year. We budgeted about 3070. We've received 177,92,000 remaining. Still doing pretty well there. 0013 property tax supplemental motor vehicle. That is not, we should start seeing payments in January. Billing goes out sometime in December for my discussion with the tax collector. 00101 educational cost sharing, 4.7 million is budgeted. We did receive our first installment of the 1.193 million, so that's good, it's positive. 00201 pilot state-owned tiered, that we had budgeted 26,559, we received that amount of money, so that's a positive. 00213 municipal transition, we budgeted 97,957, we received 97,957, another positive. 00312 is conveyance tax. We've budgeted 175,000, we received 69,500. About 60% remains to be collected, which is kind of in line with the number of months that we've used. Prices continue to be strong on the sales, but the volume of sales is lower than we'd like and what we've seen in the past. 00313 vital statistics, 14,000 was budgeted, 8,000 received, 6,000 remains. There was a strong marriages this fall per the town clerk. 00314 recording fees. We're seeing a similar relationship to what we were seeing within the conveyance tax. Budgeted around 55,000, received around 20,000, 34,500 remains. As we've gone through before, structural permits strong. Some large permits had come in that were unexpected or unbudgeted. So we had budgeted 349, received 478,500 so far. So that's to the good. Next page, interest income. We have 400,000 budgeted. We've received 306,000 to date, 144,000 remains. Interest rates have dropped a few times this year. We have seen that drop at the banks, but it's still doing quite well, still doing strong. That's what I have on revenues. So, any questions? We'll move into expenditures. So page 2 in the right corner, I'll tell you the page number. Page 2 of the expenditures, under the collector of revenue, under regular payroll, we should probably be around 60% remaining at this point. We are not at that due to the fact that we had 2 tax collectors for a few months during the transition to the new tax collector. So that is expected. We had budgeted excess monies there, but we thought to have a smooth transition quite well this year. Under planning and development matters, budgeted 24,500 to date. We've spent 17,395, and just regular planning and development matters that go on. Page 6. 11003 is part-time payroll. This is a number that was an unbudgeted number that we had to fund while our building official has been out of work or commission for some time on a couple various matters. So that one is a zero budgeted item, but when the building official is out and replacements need to keep that office going, we are seeing charges to that part-time payroll, and I believe that that will possibly occur again in the near future. Page 6, again, same page. Overtime in the highway division, we had budgeted 15,000. We've spent about 10,914. 4,000 remains. This is overtime. It's not snow removal. So the main things in this were paving projects. Obviously, you can see many paving projects going on this summer and the fall, and there was times when work was done by contractors on the weekends and over the normal work day, and employees needed to stay and work with them. There were a few storms, some light pole near Gildersleeve had fallen. The highway division helped on a dogwood project, and there's been some fluid film work done on the highway vehicles. A lot of times that would be done by the vehicle maintenance crew at 100%. This year, the assistant mechanic job was vacant for a period of time. So the highway division, it was highway trucks, so highway people assisted on that. It's more or less like it's a coating that they put on to prevent wear and tear on the vehicle. I guess it has fumes that are don't smell so good, so they do that in the evening time after most of the employees have gone. 032 service contract. We touched on service contracts before. Definitely probably need to increase this budget by 4,000 to 5,000 in the next budget. There were so far we have 9,500 spent, 9,500 budgeted, 4,792 spent, 3,954 encumbered. So we only have $753 remaining in this account. There was some of it was for the new fire alarm protective system. We put the new fire alarm system in, and in the budget we didn't factor in the $1,099 it would be to maintain that. And then there was also a few other services for the gas pumps, and there was, I think he also entered in an overhead door agreement this year. So that's what's happening in that account. 36006, which is line painting. That is a $9,500 budget. 7,850 has been spent. 4,318 is encumbered. 2,700 overage. There was numerous roads that needed line painting after the chip sealing and some of the paving, and then also there was some more expensive paint used on certain roads this cycle. 6103 equipment supplies, $20,000 budgeted, 9,000 spent, 6,000 encumbered, 4,000 left. I just wanted to bring you up, that's a watch for the year. They haven't even got into really the snow plowing. A lot of times that's where mailboxes that get damaged were purchased from. So we haven't seen some of the items that you could possibly see there. So that's a watch. Page 11. Senior Center instructor fees, $2,250 was budgeted, $1,550 has been spent, $700 remains, so 31% remains. It looks like there was a lot of Tai Chi classes and some various workshops that have been put on. I think Fund 54 is one of those budgets. As the directors change and continue to learn their own budgets, they'll know what numbers need to change and either be up or increased or decreased, and also whether additional revenues need to be generated from the programs that are being run. So I think that's a continuation that will be something that will have to be watched and learned throughout the year as the director continues to grow in that position. 055 municipal agent to the elderly van drivers. We have budgeted $32,000. We've spent $16,000. We have about 50% of the budget left, so we're over the number that we would want to be there. So that's one of those ones that the first selectman will have to work with the senior center director and determine, how and when to manage that account and whether we're going to continue to provide rides or, have to slow that down a little bit. So that's something that I'm sure that the first selectman will work on with the senior center director. Page 12, termination pay. We budgeted 80,000. That's generally going to be like it's a reach out in the star number that we kind of guesstimate what the number is. We kind of have it as a placeholder. Some years we win, some years we lose. So far to date, we spent about 55,000. There has been a few more people that have left or departed than we had expected. We'll have to keep watching that during the year. It's not too much we can do there other than, pay the required amounts based on the specific agreements. But that's, when we know certain people are leaving, we try to increase that number. I think this was one of the years that we tried to drop it down a little bit, and that can sometimes come back to haunt us, but we'll see. We still have quite a bit of money left in the account, and we'll see how that handles the rest of the year. That's what I have for expenses now. There's one item that I'll just bring up that I don't think was on the agenda, but I think that just from a financial standpoint, I'll just bring it up. The Public Works Director, interim Public Works Director, I guess at this point, I guess we call him Ryan O'Halpin, has been working with the subcontractors. When we built the pavilion, we used Gordian, Easy IQC program. The main vendor is no longer in business. The subcontractor was a company called Creative Recreation, and they are on the state of Connecticut contract, utilizing contract D23 PSX 0149. Director O'Halpin had been in contact with this company and asked them to look at a few of the, for a better word, pillars, I think they're called. So kind of what holds up the columns. I guess they're calling them columns. Some of them had been had wood decay on them, so I think they shut down the use of that pavilion for a while to research that. There was hope to maybe replace a component of them. It looks like that the company that's the manufacturer of this pavilion is no longer in business, but Creative Recreation has another manufacturer that they now work with, supplier, that claims that they can assist, I believe, in fixing each of the 14 columns. And that would be supplied, delivered, and installed. And the only thing that they had said that they didn't factor in, I think, to this quote was a disposal of the pillars. So I think that they were assuming that maybe somebody would want that wood. I don't know if whether the townspeople or someone in the town. I don't believe that First Selectman Curley or myself or Ryan O'Halpin have discussed if that's needed or not. So the quote with this, with doing the 8 with them installed, was around $23,304, with a good majority of it being the factory authorized installation. So it looks like that's something that probably will need to be moved ahead on due to the safety ramifications of this pavilion. Pavilion, from what I'm hearing from the people at play, is that it's in good shape other than these these column issues. So I think what will happen, probably likely your next meeting, is Ryan will probably try to move a use of contingency. We'll have to try to figure out what the number is. It's somewhere probably under like a $28,000 number, but I think we would give the quotes to 23.3, and you just probably want to leave a little room for change orders if it's needed, or if the disposal really is not included and is needed. So, hopefully by the next meeting we can work up additional facts, but I think that, pretty confident that is your number from them off of the state contract. And I think it's for the betterment of the piece of equipment, where that pavilion gets a whole lot of use, brings in revenue to the Park and Rec. Probably something that will have to be, fixed. So we just want to bring that to your attention. That is out there, that appears to be what the solution is, based on Ryan's O'Halpin's efforts with the state of Connecticut contract holder, and who was the subcontractor and actual, more or less, installer of this piece of equipment. All right, Al?
I do want to give Tom credit on this. Tom did try to see if this was insured with our carrier, and it was denied, and so thank you for that. Yeah, I feel like we have to get this done. I don't think there's any other option on that.
Yeah, no, that facilities, that's used, that's used all the time, so, I would agree. Do we know what the time frame to repair is once we authorize it? Is it something that we anticipated will be open by the spring?
I believe the question was asked.
I did ask
There was
that.
there was an answer to the pillar, to the column question. So there was
Let's see.
Ryan had asked a couple of questions, Ryan O'Halpin and Ryan Curley. The Ryan O'Halpin question was answered. Ryan went back and asked, they quoted 8, there were 14. He said, do we have to do all 14? He said, at this current juncture, you don't need to do all 14. The manufacturer is saying, more or less, we're not going to do it unless we do 8. Because they feel they feel there are 8 that are required to be changed. That was the answer. So that was more or less supporting the number that they provided, and telling you how you had to do it. They did not respond on the timeliness of it.
We'll have a better update for the next meeting.
Yeah, and I think that one other question while we're working with them is that if there's any specific treatment or anything we can do to, one, make sure it doesn't occur again, but also that we can do to protect the remaining pillars that are still in good shape.
Do you know if this is pressurized wood? Because I know
I looked at, I don't believe it is.
no, the current wood is not, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping that this
And
these additional pillars
my
are.
question too, maybe we can discuss next week, but I saw the rot down there on the bottom of a fair number of the pillars on the pavilion. But my question is, have the legs on the band shell also been looked at? Because I think it might, from what I understand, it's a different vendor, but it's still similar structure.
It is a different vendor.
But if the
But-
company's here, I'd like them to look at that too.
Yeah, but it makes sense. And the other thing is the band shell, fortunately, is, I think, 2 or 3 years newer. It's not, the pavilion went in early first, and then the band shell came on a few years later, I think as part of STEEP 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to answer the question, that I think the efforts that were done were concentrated on the one with the most immediate need of concern and possible injury to someone,
I agree.
and to the actual structure. So I think that's where the efforts were placed. I know that they did go look at those and said, they're not on that either.
Yeah.
And it might have been even a little in a worse situation, not of damage, but of not, maybe they were actually, wood was in the ground or something. Again, this is not my purview of expertise, so I don't want to really speak to that too much. But the answer to the other question, we're saying, it says fabricated with a southern pine AITC architectural appearance, grade, individually wrapped. Columns are pressure treated with 0.6 PC4 CCA prior to gluing for the AITC 109 for the ground use to resist decay and insect attack. No steel connections and hardwood are included. So I think that answers your
So it shouldn't be ground contact cable.
question.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Any other questions for Tom on the budget before we go? Okay. To item 8 on the agenda, which is it's a revision to our non-union pay plan for the current fiscal year. And one of the proposed changes is a minimum wage increase, which will take effect January 1 of 2025. And then there are 2 proposed changes, an increase to the minimum for the Public Works Director position in the salary range, as well as a change to the range in the Director of Finance position as well. I do want to point out that we are changing the range or proposing here, but Tom, while he may deserve a raise, this isn't Tom getting a raise right now, but this is just to change the range of both of those positions. And I'll be honest, the reason for this is we've had the Director of Public Works position posted now for over a month. It's a critical position that we need filled, and we have yet to date been able to fill that position. So I think that the range was in the mid $80,000 range beginning. And so for a position like that today, it's hard to get someone with the experience and the education that we need for that position in that range. So that's why I am proposing to bump the minimum up to $95,000. And so the hope with that is that the position becomes more appealing and we're able to get more applicants. And so we'll repost the position with the updated salary range and go from there. But we're not alone. Unfortunately, public works directors are in demand across the state. They're always in demand, or at least they always seem to be when we're looking for one. But so the range would be a minimum of $95,000 for the public works director, up to a maximum of $146,500. The director of finance would be a minimum of $100,000 to a maximum of $157,000. That are the numbers. And then this pay plan would be effective January 1st, as I mentioned, and the minimum wage is going to $16.35 as of January 1st. And so while the minimum wage, it's good for lower skilled workers, it does hurt our Parks and Rec department, and our budgeting is impacted by this. So it is important to point out when the minimum wage goes up. I do hear from our Parks and Recreation director that this does impact the summer programs with our counselors and all of that. So just something to keep in mind, but those are the proposed changes.
Yeah, do you want a motion to? All right, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution dated December 4, 2024, titled Revision to Non-Union / Administrative Pay Plan for Fiscal Year 2024-2025. Resolved that the 2024-2025 pay plan for non-union part-time specialists, seasonal employees, and administrative, professional, executive, and elected officials as outlined on the attached B, and is hereby adopted with the following revisions. Connecticut minimum wage adjustments that are tied to the percentage change in the Federal Employment Cost Index effective January 1, 2025, affecting town tech, Parks and Rec, seasonal employees, and election workers. And item 2, update to wage ranges for Public Works Director and Director of Finance.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion on this? Further discussion?
I'm sure as we're looking, and I think we're seeing this in a lot of places, and a lot of positions are becoming more competitive with those skills, so I'm sure it's not the last time we're gonna have to look at.
No, I was at the CCM conference yesterday, and I was talking with the first selectman of Killingworth. They're in the same boat, looking for a public works director, as I'm sure there's always towns in the state. So, yeah, we're not alone, but we definitely want to make sure that we're being as attractive as we can to get the talent that we need.
And we're competing. I can tell you that in my day job, and as I'm trying to hire, I can tell you that we've had to look at the same thing, because we're competing also with the private sector where wages are going up. So It's necessary.
Yes. All right, any other comments, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you all. All right, the next item is item 9 on our agenda, and this is an update from our library director. Jennifer Billingsley is here with us this evening, and Jen has had a long day. I was with Jen at 8 this morning with the Middlesex County Chamber Division meeting, so see you on the way in and on the way out, Jen. Good morning, or good evening.
Good
I should say.
morning. No, yeah, it's fine. It's worth it. It was a good meeting this morning, so, and hopefully this is going well for you all as well. I'll be brief because I know there is snow on the way. So, this one is double-sided.
I see how you are.
Apparently.
Thank you. And your will to live.
Hi, Jim. How are you? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a cute little stuff. I like that.
Sure. Hello, thank you for being patient while I handed out the pretty pieces of paper. So in front of you, and I'm happy to hand these out to folks in the audience here, should you desire them. They will also go out in some form of social media at some point within the next couple of weeks. I want to make sure we're promoting the programs that we have going on first, so my update will get slid into social media and go up on the website at some point where it's not going to be too disruptive. I'm giving you an update on how things are going as far as being led by the strategic plan. So as a quick refresher, this ate a lot of our fall for planning for this. The goals for that were to create more welcoming spaces, to engage and create more awareness through strategic communication, and then providing responsive services. So listening deeply to the community and providing what they need. And what you have in front of you is information culled from our state library report. So this is my second time submitting this report to the state, and so I did a much better job of knowing what I needed to do this year, which was great. And I'm very, very proud and pleased to present this because you received a very similar update at some point last year, but the numbers for almost every single piece of this have increased. So we had 48,712 library visits last year. This year, last year it was 37. The number of items circulated was the 111,000. It was 105 last year. The number of in-person programs this year was 349. Last year it was 239. So, and each of those individual programs represent a lot of work and effort on the part of our entire library staff. So I'm really pleased with how our children's department is doing, and also our newest full-time member of our team, Michelle, who has stepped into the part of our head of adult library services, who is doing a crafting night for paper folding for hedgehogs. So feel free to check that out on the library website. There might still be spots available. So that's the broad overview. On the other side of the letter, it's a very brief letter, I promise, is just some very brief bullet points for the things that we've accomplished. I didn't want to take up too many pages and cut down too many trees with it, but the broad strokes of it are that our meeting room use is also up. We were able to get a TV into the Van Bynum room, which makes it accessible and available for hybrid meetings in a way that only the Mary Flood room was. The TV that was used for that was donated, so it didn't cost anything more than the cart that we put it on, which was great. as far as welcoming spaces, I'm very happy to report that as of hopefully the middle of next week, all library staff will have received their certificate, well, the training, if not the certificate in mental health first aid. Most of those are done through a partnership with Gilead Community Services. Those are offered to our staff and town staff free. So that was really wonderful. And we were able to open spots to the larger community as well because we're a small and mighty staff. And there were more spots that were available for that. If you are on our e-newsletter list, you may have noticed that there was a design shift that happened. We're using Library Aware, which is a software for libraries, so it talks directly to our online catalog. It connects people with books immediately. It's really built for libraries, and that's been a huge game changer. And also at the very bottom of the letter, we have a brand new logo that one of our staff members designed for us. We love it. I do think it looks a little bit like a face with a mustache and glasses, which makes me like it even more, actually. So yeah, that's been brilliant. And I did want to also shout out to the library board, who have updated over the last year 7 policies in 2024. We're trying to we don't need to update everything, but we're trying to go in reverse order. If nobody has looked at it in a very long time, we're focusing on those and just making quick changes and bringing our policy in alignment with our practice and trying to be really thoughtful about that. So they've been wonderful. Thank you, Ryan, for listening to me talk about those and giving feedback. It's been really great working with you. Yeah, I think that's, and then the other big thing that was wonderful that we were able to accomplish over this past fiscal inclusive programming, and also circulating kits that young people could use, or they're multiple ages, because there were multiple sizes, could use. You come into the library, there's like noise canceling headphones and a weighted lap blanket. My favorite comment about that we received as far as feedback from the community was someone being very excited that they would be able to try that out with their young child, because they didn't want to purchase it and find out it didn't work and then not be able to return it. And so that's exactly, so not only would you be able to be like, oh, I forgot mine at home, we have one, but families in Portland were able to actually test out tools to help their kids be able to regulate, which is such a powerful, such a powerful and good feeling success story. So yeah, that's the broad strokes of what we've had going on. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I just have one.
Yeah.
Do you have a rough idea for the visits? Like what it is for children compared to adults?
No, it's a door counter, so it's bodies. So I do have some, we're trying to do a more detailed and comprehensive look at what are, like, to be able to break down like room use versus like the programming attendance for like broader age groups. And so I am going to hopefully next year be able to pull some of those numbers, but the data that you can get out is only as good as what you can feed in. So we're in the process of being able to hopefully gather a little bit more of information like that. I mean, it depends if you come on a Wednesday or a Tuesday when Jen or Miss Patty are doing a story time, and you can see we're very crowded those days. So, yeah. Any other questions?
I just have a statement, Jen. I've
Yeah.
heard from many people who really love the library, and kudos to you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's it. I promise I'd be brief.
Yeah, thank you, Jan, honestly, and thank you for being proactive with all of those policies and everything
Yeah,
as
no,
well. It's a terrific thing for
That-
you guys and the board to take on, so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Take care, Jennifer.
You can go home now.
Finally.
Fine.
All right, so we'll move on to item 10. And item 10 is discussion on vacancies in elected office. So we added what the Portland Town Charter has to say about resignations, particularly in the event that the first selectman were to resign. And so the pertinent information is here. And I'll just read, in the event the first selectman resigns and such a vacancy occurs on or after January of a regular town election year, the Board of Selectmen shall appoint a first selectman of the same political party as the first selectman resigning from the remaining members of the Board of Selectmen, providing a remaining member is willing to serve on Monday to discuss. I wasn't sure, and I wanted Carrie's interpretation of the charter to see if I needed, so as of yet, I've not officially submitted a letter of resignation to the town clerk for what the charter calls, and that's what, in order for me to resign, I need to write a letter, and I would give that to Michael Tierney, our town clerk, and I would put the effective date, January 1. I have, as of yet, to do that, but I need to do that. And so once I do that, at first I thought that after my suggestion for this board was going to be to hold a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen and to have that meeting on January 2nd so that you fill that position the day after. In talking with Carrie this evening, I may be able to, if I put my letter in with the effective date of January 1, this board could vote for, Carrie is telling me that we could take a vote. I would recuse myself from that vote since I won't be here, but the vote could take place at our meeting on December 18th. And so that's something that we can do. So I wanted to discuss with the board. It does appear, I know the Republican Town Committee had met on Monday. It does appear that the RTC did endorse one of the selectmen at that meeting. So I guess there's more to come on that. I don't know if anyone has questions for me on this part now.
So just one question on housekeeping. Once, because you're starting a position on the 2nd
Yes.
of January, when the new first selectman takes over, how much time will you have a chance to spend with him to get him up and running with all the details, like passing the baton? Because I know there's a ton of stuff you're involved in.
Yeah.
So how do you foresee that happening? And what would be the time frame to do that? Because if you're starting the 2nd, where will you be able to get the time for that? And
It's
how
a
will you
good
handle
question.
that?
So, I think December is a better month for me. Yes, starting a new job, I will be, busy during the day, but I would make myself available on my own time, and that's something that I've committed to on a Saturday or Sunday. I do want to make sure that there's a smooth transition. I will be available in the evenings. Right now, our former Public Works Director, Ryan Halpin, has been generous enough with his time. He's in on Saturday mornings, and I know he's in because my phone starts buzzing, and he's answering emails, and he's been getting a lot of work done, so which has been a real blessing while we're in between the directors. So I anticipate that. I mean, I'd be lying if I said that there was not a large learning curve to the job, and so there's a lot. I mean, I know you all see the number of projects that we work on. There's a lot of boards, and I'll have to have that ready for the next meeting to talk about. For instance, it doesn't have to be the first selectman, but there's the Chatham Health District, which we're a member of. I serve on the board of directors of the Chatham Health District. I also serve on the River Valley Transit District Board. You may recall that we recently joined that as well. I serve on a dispatch board with Middletown and the police dispatch and fire. So there's a lot of different organizations, the CERT team that the first selectman's involved with. And so I know that I spoke with the director of Chatham Health, and I will be resigning from my position on the board of directors there. So it'll be up to the board to appoint, whether that's the next first selectman, or if that's one of the selectmen, or someone from the public at large could serve in that role. And there's just a number of different roles. I'm also on the Cable Advisory Committee, which doesn't meet as much as it used to, I believe, but it's another board, and the list kind of can go on from there. So those are things that I want to make sure, there's a smooth transition on. But no, I know that, free your schedule up for that.
Yeah, so what I would do is, I spoke to you a little earlier that we needed to make some phone calls for some transition, and I've been, as you know, my brother's gonna take over the day-to-day of Manning Home Builders, so I'll be doing this job 100%, and he's already getting going with it, so I would get with you and we'd set up some time this month to go over some of the major projects we have going on. So when January 2nd comes, I know exactly where we stand on those, and just continue to move forward and use your help whenever I can and as long as I can, and try to make the transition as smooth as we can.
I don't know, Mike, do you want to talk about your continuing to serve as deputy, or do you want to talk about that later?
Yeah, I'm going to continue to serve as deputy, and then when we finally get a full board again, I may reconsider my position as deputy for selectmen, but until we have a 7-panel board here, I'm going to staying on as deputy for now, for the meantime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's, yeah, I understand that there's a lot of change, and I really just want to make sure that I'm available to make this as smooth as possible for the board. So I would anticipate at this point that there would be a motion at the next meeting for selectmen, but which I would abstain from. And I do want to double check with Carrie, I want to make sure that we do this as properly as possible. But if for whatever reason that she recommends that we hold off, then that vote would be on January 2nd. And so, that'll, again, that would be up to you as a board, and I would not be a part of the board. And I have to stay out because it doesn't impact.
I would only recommend that, because you're stepping out of the picture, the discussion that you have and whatever the final opinion, legal opinion is, I'd suggest we get it in writing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to make sure if we made the motion at the next meeting, but something was just a little bit out of whack on that, I want to make sure that we're covered.
Mm-hmm.
So that
I
would be
agree.
my suggestion.
Yeah, totally agree. So I will get a formal opinion in writing from Carrie.
And that'll help whoever takes
Most
over your
definitely.
space too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions or comments from the board before we move on? Okay. So next up is item 11, and this is our new item 11, and I didn't write it down. What did you call it, John? It's a discussion on the nominees.
I said Strategical Capital Improvement Commission appointments discussion.
All right, so as you may recall, at the last meeting, this board formed the Strategic Capital Improvements Commission, or committee, to explore the capital improvements that are needed at all of the schools in town, and to come up with a plan that would be actionable for a vote to coincide with the budget referendum in May. And so it's an aggressive timetable that I know this board and the Board of Education is interested in. And so in order to get that moving along, we created a 9-member committee. We did fill 4 of those seats at the last meeting. There's 5 seats left to fill. I did get a resignation from Sean Manning today. He is resigning from that in anticipation of being an ex officio member, which would mean that we need to appoint another member from within. I've spoken with Mike Pelton, who is interested in serving in that role. It's up to, we can talk about that under nominations, but Mike has expressed interest. And so if that moves forward, Sean would be an ex officio member and Mike would be a voting member for that vote. And so I know I don't actually have the list of the nominees in front of me. So this is what I know, Bobby, you have a list. Do you
Yes.
want to talk about you want to discuss the?
I just want to know
Yeah.
who the individuals are and just the background, if they provided them the names and what they do. Are they residents or? 'Cause
Yeah.
That general information.
They're all residents. First nomination we have is Ben Serb.
Yeah,
Okay.
we know better.
We know better.
Could we get a little, could we get any, maybe a bio on Ben?
I mean,
Okay, we're good there. What do you got next?
Darcy Parmalee. She spoke at our joint meeting with the Board of Ed,
I remember Darcy, yeah.
and she was the head of the PTO for 2 different schools in town.
Yep.
Next, we have Peter Falanda. He was on the other committee before we had the referendum for the Valley View consolidation.
What's his background? I don't know.
Construction.
Construction. Run to business? Any more about
Are you
that?
gonna say what?
Does run a business.
No, he's the head of construction of like commercial and industrial organizations such as like hospitals and schools and some municipalities, but he's been managing like construction sites. So I forget what company he works for, but he's I guess he's the project manager type consultant and stuff like that of new construction projects.
yeah, I served with Peter a long time ago. I think actually he replaced me when I came off of Parks and Rec, and he went on, and then I was still a liaison, but I know Peter.
Next, we have Chris Dick, Jennifer Martinez, who is a teacher in town
And resident.
and resident.
Yeah, she's at Gildersleeve, right?
Sure.
And we have one individual who just,
He's also an educator, so he's got a lot of background, and he's got a lot of other roots in the community.
you good?
Yeah, I think that, when you look
just-
at, there was some crossover between folks that we were looking at, and so, the only difference is really Brett.
Right.
So we got
Tell-
6 names. Yeah. Well, we actually have 7 with Michael, right?
Tell me more about Chris. Chris Dickman.
He works for a construction company. He's project manager. They do schools, commercial buildings
In this area throughout Connecticut.
throughout Connecticut.
Okay, there.
I believe his company is out of North Haven.
Got it. Okay.
That, yeah, I'm sure that didn't get picked up, but Tom said the company, Cisco, removed the in-ground oil tanks at the schools within the past year, so. The elementary, Valley, was that, that's what I thought, yep. All right, so do you want to keep discussing, or would we want to move to item 11, which is appointments?
I guess we can move to take each one and vote. I just say that what we did, 4 folks that we named last week, all come essentially with specific experience. They're all directly related to the town or town involvement. And I know that some of these next group of individuals, we really wanted to get folks from the town that have, you know, my envision of it was folks with children, folks that had a desire to be part of this process. So we just want to make sure that we make this next group, some of those people need to be in there.
Well, I think as we go through the nominations, one at a time, I think that during the discussion, you know, let's not rush through them. We can go through each one
Yeah.
and then go from there.
Okay.
Okay. So do you want to make a motion, and then we'll go?
Sure. Make a motion to nominate Ben Serb for Strategic Capital Improvements Commission.
I'll second that.
All right, so we'll open this up to discussion.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very smooth. All right.
For a position on this committee.
I'll second it.
All right, discussion. Brett, the only question that I would have is
We have a limited number.
we have a
more
limited
bodies.
number, and so I don't know.
That's
Wait.
the only one we have, so it's,
Yeah.
we're not gonna make the list anymore.
And honestly, this was individual that I was looking at this person to fill
Yeah.
what we thought this was gonna be, which is folks from the public.
Mhm.
You know, not necessarily someone with a construction background, but someone from the public, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys want to talk on that discussion?
I was thinking with Jennifer Martinez and with Darcy Parmalee that they both cover school representation, public, parent. You know, they have multiple facets, so it's kind of the same thing. And I really like our next one for Darcy because being with the PTO, she has the parents' ears, she has the teachers, she's like the connection between everybody.
Okay. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's a.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and that'll give us 3 of the 9, that'll give us kind of like 3 that are expressly come from some different points of view from a parent standpoint.
Okay.
That's kind of what we were thinking. We had Jen, we agree completely with Jen, and we're good with Darcy, and
So-
that gives us some different perspectives from parents, which I think some different perspectives are good.
So I think what Bobby's saying is that Jen would not be appointed and Brett would be in her place. Is that what you're suggesting? Yeah. So you're okay with that?
The bodies with construction background? Because quite honestly, we have
We have
a
Bob, we have
report,
Carl.
and we have Bob and we have Carl, both of
agree.
whom know all about the construction of those buildings.
Specifically.
But I think these two know more about the pricing, the time frame of getting it done, that aspect of it. Bob and Carl know the buildings, but they might not know, you know, the operations of getting the repairs done, what the costs are. I think these two, Peter and Chris.
Well, I was gonna
Bring
say,
that.
I think Ben and Chris will have also a lot to add on that. So if you've got, again, coming from the construction, that would still leave, Ben and Chris, as well as, Carl and Bob. So there's a lot of experience on that in terms of the timing. That would be 4 of the 9 members would have that expertise.
Yeah, I agree.
So we are discussing Brett. I mean, we can keep discussing. We can call for a vote on that and move on to the next nominee.
That's a pretty balanced board, what we're looking at.
So he's up, right, we're talking about, yeah, I agree with that.
I like the idea of keeping Jen and Darcy, as well as Brett. That's 3 parents with kids in the system, and that gives you, and then we have 4 construction, and then we have the 2 Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen.
We only have we don't have 4 construction, because Bob Shea and Carl Johnson, they are,
They're more maintenance.
they're maintenance. So when we had the land usage committee, right?
Mhm.
We had everyone on there except for two people we had three people with commercial construction experience.
Mhm.
And with that, they were able to look at those numbers that we were getting, and without a flash of a bulb, they knew if those numbers were right or wrong. And that's the difference behind having somebody that can look at something, because this is fast moving. We're not gonna have time to waste 3 meetings on trying to come, to try to get some information where we think that, okay, this is where something we can do.
Well, the other element to this is, this really is a discussion, looking at the buildings and making a determination. Part of the discussion and the decision-making is gonna be determine whether we fix what we got or we eliminate a building.
Right.
But we also found out on election day at the vote, that I think folks wanna save money, but they don't wanna pay a lot of money.
Right.
So
And that's-
after the decision is made, whether we're gonna keep every building or we're gonna load a building, then there's gonna have to be a whole other discussion, which I don't know if it's gonna involve the construction guys or it's gonna be more of a financing discussion, is how can we get what we wanna get and lower the cost?
Right. But John, think of it this way, if we go in, the commission goes in and looks at all 3 schools, right? One by one by one. You got Carl, and you got Bob Shea. Maybe they have their sight lines report with them, and they say, well, I think we can eliminate this, eliminate this, eliminate this. But we need to keep this, or fix, repair this. When you have commercial, people that are involved with commercial estimating on a daily basis, they can look at it and be within 15–20%.
I guess my question is, if we have 2 bodies that have that capability, do we need both of those bodies on?
Well, we would have 3, right? 'Cause
3.
We would have, Chris and Ben on, who have that, again, have that skill set. And then having some parents with different opinions, I
But
think. it's- Yeah.
everyone on the list is also a parent.
Yeah.
So that,
Well, but I do think
that
it-
point doesn't matter.
Well, it does.
I think it does, but when we went from 7 to 9, that was one of the things we talked about, is being able to have the expertise, but add some more, more sort of general parents, not necessarily people looking at it from a professional.
I do want to point out, maybe it's a good time to talk about Friar architecture too, because we're going to continue to have the assistance of Friar Architecture, who has been with us through the initial project and the initial referendum. So after discussions with Dr. Britton and the Board of Education, we did, I want to get the number, so I believe it's an $18,000 contract extension with Friar for this, so we will be doing a change order. There are funds in Fund 24, there's leftover funds from the high school track project that are available to be used for this, so I'm going to be authorizing that. So having Mike Serrano and his expertise help guide this, it's going to be important because, yes, I fully agree, we need to have parents, we need to have teachers, and we need to have people who are knowledgeable about construction. But school construction is such a nuanced field that it's so important to have an expert guiding, an unbiased expert guiding this committee.
So Friar is a resource. They don't have to take one of these spots, correct?
No. They're just there.
No, I assume that, but I just
Yeah.
want to make sure.
Yeah, but especially when we're talking about the reimbursement rate for, although we're not going to qualify for that, 56% reimbursement that we were talking about previously, there's a number of eligible items that are, it's essential that we have that guidance to go through that process and also make sure that we're hitting those timelines as well. I know Dr. Britton is going to be attending these meetings. This is very important, and our Board of Ed Chair, Laurel, is here with us this evening as well. Everyone is committed to getting, to rolling up their sleeves, getting to work on this committee, and we know we got to get to work quickly. So who's on the committee, it's important, but, you know, that's why I think I talked about at the last meeting, you know, a 7-member committee, you go to a 9-member committee, you know, and things can get slowed down. I mean, I know I won't be a part of it for this phase, but my recommendation is that, you know, things need to move quickly, and in order to get those targets made.
So let's move this quickly then. So for your nominee, who do you want to replace from our nominee? Either Peter or Jennifer? It's your call.
Peter?
I would say, given the expertise that Chris and Ben bring, and having prior architecture, and having you know, basically, you know, Carl and Bob, who know a lot about the buildings, I'd say probably the best person to leave off would be Peter, unfortunately. I mean, he's got good expertise, and I hope he still participates. But I think that at least we'll still have all the expertise we need, and a broad view of parents.
I agree with that. I think we should leave Jennifer on.
Yeah. That fills a whole other aspect that we don't have. That's the only resident parent teacher that we have on there.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
I think
If we have an agreement and you want to make a motion to that effect to fill the rest of them, we can probably do it all in one shot.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any other conflicts if we're comfortable.
No?
Okay. We have a motion on the table, though, so do we want to vote? We might as well do that.
Just
Okay.
quick question also, has his resignation from this committee already gone in? So you should add my name as well.
Yeah, your name.
Yeah, we were gonna, no, I was
Yeah,
gonna do
separately?
that, but
Okay.
we have one motion, and then we'll do
You
that
got it.
with a
Okay.
slate, I think,
Right.
for the next
Okay.
I
one.
don't want to
Great.
Bob, do you want to do it?
I don't want
Well,
to just
we-
late. We've already started like this, and we've already,
Let's
it
do
went
it.
back.
Okay, well,
It'll be
individually.
quick.
Okay,
Quick.
all right, we'll just do them one at a time. So, this is Brett.
This is Brett.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, one opposed. Okay,
Nominee for Strategic Capital Improvements, Darcy Parmalee.
I need a second.
I'll second it, I'm sorry, I'll second.
Okay, Jim seconds. Any discussion on Darcy?
No.
No.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Nomination of Chris Dickman for Strategic Capital Improvements Commission.
I'll second.
Sean.
Give it to Jim.
Or Jim, yeah. Any discussion on Chris?
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Nominate Jennifer Martinez to the Strategic Capital Improvements Commission.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
All right.
Cool.
All right,
We got, yeah, I think we forgot. Yeah.
I think all we have is, I guess, it is,
That's it, that would fill it then, right?
Yeah.
5.
Well, no, but we still, I thought
well, I was
Michael.
gonna say, we have
Alright, how about
Jen,
Pete?
Dave, Chris, Ben, and Brett. But the only other position that now with, because Sean's position is,
Yep.
all right, so, did you want to do the, would you like me to?
Oh, go ahead.
No, so I'll nominate Mike to serve on the strategic committee.
Wait a minute,
Representative, replacing Sean Manning on the Strategic Capital Improvements Commission.
I'll second.
You second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, see none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, one opposed. Any abstention? Okay, motion carries. And with that, I think that is 9 members.
Yep.
And I want to point out, so the first meeting will be a week from today in the high school media center. And so I look forward to, as First Selectman, I will call that meeting to order, and then the committee will get kicked off, they'll nominate a chair, and they will get to work. I know that it's going to be a lot of work. I want to thank everyone for volunteering. I also want to thank again, I did share the nominee, or not the nominees, but the number of people that reached out offering their services to serve on this committee. It was overwhelming. There was a very long list, and I want to thank, if you did not get nominated for this, please, we want you to attend the meetings, we want you to participate in these meetings, and thank you, because it's those people that make, this possible, and for this good work to get done. So we're very fortunate in this town to have so many people that are willing to offer up their time and services. So I just want to thank everyone for doing that.
What time is that meeting, Ryan? 7?
I think it's 6:30. I'd have to pull it. 7. Is it 7? Okay, 7 o'clock. Are you the chair, or not the chair? You're doing the minutes? Yeah. All right.
I was until tonight. Now I resigned.
Well done.
She's going with you, Ryan. She's going with you, though.
Oh, good. That's there's some of that going around, so I don't know. All right. Oh, wait, hold on. I know there's more nominations.
Okay, I have 3, actually. The first one, we've been carrying Jillian Crawford's name as the alternate on Park and Rec, and we have someone who has offered to do this job as an alternate, Amanda Lebel, Lebel. I'd like to put her name forward for Park and Rec alternate.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
Did you second it?
Yes.
Is she going to be sworn in time to attend the tree lighting on Saturday?
Oh.
Actually, hopefully she will be attending.
I hope so. I hope to see her there.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
The second, we have an individual for Veterans Affairs as an alternate. His name is Jack Holden, and folks involved in the Veterans Affairs Committee speak highly of him and want him on their committees.
Yeah, I think Bill specifically has asked if we could move him forward, so I will second that.
What's Jack's background? I'm just curious.
I know he's a veteran, and I know
don't
he's been
have it.
involved. I believe he's been involved and been engaged with the group already.
Yeah.
But just isn't officially on.
And
No, I know. I remember hearing
and I
the
know
name.
Bill
That's why.
Walensky
Yeah.
speaks highly of him. So.
Well, if
Yeah.
Bill wants him, Bill gets him. All right.
That's right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
And the final one, there was an individual named Maura Dillon.
You can't do this one.
I know. I just give you the background. She was nominated to fill someone who stepped out, to fill a vacancy in Housing Authority. Now they need to be reappointed. So I'm going to defer to Jim to do that one, to keep my nose out of it.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's just going to nominate Maura Dillon, basically to continue serving on the Portland Housing Authority when the new term starts, 2025. So.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion on Maura? Here she comes from a good family, so.
Yeah, I guess she didn't marry into one.
I hear her husband's trouble, though.
All right, we'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
That's it.
And that's it?
That's all, yeah.
All right, thank you. We'll move on then to item 12, which is refunds of excess payments.
Great. Make a motion for a refund of excess payment, C-Cap Auto Lease Limited, $614.89 and $221.48.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Toyota Lease Trust, $573.92, $695.91, and $216.41.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. All right, so moving on to status reports. So I just want to talk about a few of the projects that we have going on, a couple of the updates that I have to share. I did speak with GZA, our hydrogeologist, yesterday. Rich was at the CCM conference as well. It was good to touch base with him anyway, because we're still working on getting the timeline for the production well. So we had anticipated that they were going to start work over the Thanksgiving weekend or shortly before or thereafter. It's looking more like Christmas for the drilling now.
Did the rain help?
The rain is helping. We're still in a drought, believe it or not. I did hear from our fire marshal today on that. We are still in a drought, so we have not lifted the burn ban in town because of that. But right now, GZA has been working on the numbers. There was some added expense for the drilling. There was excess metal that was needed for the drilling, and they actually rebidded, or they got some more numbers. It looks like their subcontractor, it's more, we're trying, if you remember, we had a special town meeting in August. We approved $1.2 million, or that's the target for this project. There is contingency. We're really trying to make sure that we hit that $1.2 million mark. Rich thinks that he did it, so that's good news. And then once, I was anticipating an email from him today with an updated time schedule or timeline, but I did not get that yet. But we are still moving forward with that. It's just we got hung up a little bit on the numbers, but we're moving ahead. So do you have any questions on that before we move over? Okay. So just wanted to touch Brainerd Place. I did confirm, I spoke with Dan Bertram yesterday, and Starbucks is scheduled to be open still in January. So that's what he's telling me. If it's February, it might be February, but they're fitting up the store now, and so we're pretty excited about that. They also hope to be moving in residents into Building E just after the new year as well. So things are very, very close to becoming a reality over there. And I did talk with the executive vice president of real estate with Pomeroy Lodging, which is our Nordic spa. They are still on track for groundbreaking in January. So that project continues to move ahead as well. So both of those are good things. And then I just want to point out that I mentioned it, but our holiday tree lighting is this Saturday. It's on Saturday this year, not Sunday. The parade will start at 4:45, I'm told. It's what our Parks and Recreation Director has told us. There's a holiday light parade with cars. If you're interested in your vehicle getting lit up and participating, they are still looking for vehicles for the parade. And then the tree lighting will be after. I know the high school band and chorus is going to be on hand, and there's hot chocolate. So I hope to see you down there. Have some hot chocolate, listen to some good Christmas tunes, and it'll be a fun time. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think those are my updates. I'm sure we'll have a lot. The next one, any other status committee updates?
Yeah, I went to the Board of Education meeting last night. There was a very good presentation and some very in-depth discussion. There was a presentation on a Yale Child Study research proposal. Basically, and I'm not a teacher, but as I understand it, social and emotional learning, SEL, this is a concept that is in teaching, in curriculums. But historically, we do something like that at the high school, but historically it's something that has been done at the lower levels of the schools, in the lower classes. This is something that, Portland is interested in becoming part of this research proposal that will look into developing a program like this for the high school. It's generally an expensive proposition to get the curriculum. I think she said $8,000. But by the school being involved in it, we can get that and training free of charge. So it's going to be, it was discussed at length last night. It's going to be discussed again in January, and then I assume a decision will be made after that. So that was very interesting. They gave an enrollment report. Enrollment is steady in the schools. The Portland Board of Ed received a leadership award. Congratulations on that. There was some good discussion on the lockdown issue that we had at the high school, and Dr. Britton explained at length about how things went pretty well. But what was interesting is that we had police officers that were involved in the lockdown in East Hampton some weeks before, and it was just coincidence that their involvement and a subsequent training that we did with our schools right after that happened, really, he said it really helped with when we experienced this on our own. We had just experienced it somewhere else, so that was great. The date for graduation has been set. It's Friday, June 13th at 6 p.m. And then there was just some other incidental conversation. Diocese of Norwich is asking for use of the gymnasium for a basketball tournament. That was discussed. And then Board of Education policies were reviewed in a first read. They normally do a couple readings before they accept them. But all in all, it was as usual, a packed meeting.
Thank you, John. Jim?
Parks and Rec and Water and Sewer next Monday, so
All right.
I'll have something for the next one, I'm sure.
All right. Anybody else for status updates?
Nope.
All right. Move on to public comment.
I'll be quick.
Name and address, please.
Ben Serb, 139 West Cotton Hill Road. When are this group going to get the packet, like the prior report, all that stuff, so we can just start digging? I know our first meeting, I believe, is next Wednesday.
Ben,
yeah.
you haven't even gotten sworn in yet.
Hey,
You
I'd like to give him-
you just got appointed.
I'd like to jump on it, but if we could have the packets early and just start going through it, it'd be good. It'd speed up. I know it's a short time frame. Brings me to my second thing. I'd like to thank Ryan. You've done a great job. You care about this town. We're going to miss you. I personally wanted to come up. I know I harassed you a few times in a good way. We both care about the town. But I did want to say that personally, I think you did a great job, and we're going to miss you. And then the third thing, I'd like to thank everybody that voted yes for me on the board. And I'm curious, Mike, because we did serve on this board together for 4 years. Why you abstained? Why didn't you vote yes? I'm just curious. I'm one of those guys, I'm not afraid to put it on the mic.
No, I'm so glad. So my biggest concern was whether there was any conflict of interest with the two people I didn't know, on the other gentleman, I just didn't know.
Oh, I thought you voted no on me.
Well, yes, if there was, if there was any conflict of interest with the two gentlemen I didn't know, Peter or Chris.
Well,
Like
Peter's
somehow
not on.
you guys were either in business together, I just didn't know enough about that.
I've never hired Chris Dickman. I know him. He seems like a great guy.
Right.
I know he did the Main Street sidewalks. I know he's done a lot of work in our town. I know he has children, and I believe
That
he's
was my
actually,
main reason.
I think he's Ralph's neighbor, and what's his name? Who's on the board of that?
Murphy.
Murphy, there you go. that guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I try not to remember, you know?
That was, and I was out of abundance of caution, I just wasn't sure, that was it.
No,
But
I'm glad you guys,
I'm
I
happy
didn't
you're
want
on.
to just call you out on
No,
it, but I did
no,
want
I
to know, so
appreciate
it's
that.
good.
You know,
That's
I
what
think,
thought,
yeah,
because
I
we have a
think,
big job
I think
ahead
I
of us.
realize why there's not normally a back and forth during public comment. So we should adhere to
Mike,
that
Mike, thank you
going
for
forward.
answering, and, hey.
We'll have plenty of time to talk over the next
Great. And if
bunch
you
of months,
want
so.
the packets, let's go.
All right, thank you. Duly noted. Thank you, Ben. Anyone else in the audience? Is there anyone online that wishes to comment? All right. So next up is Board of Selectmen General Informal Discussion. So we'll open it up. Does anyone have anything this evening?
No, same thing as last time, but obviously there's been a whole lot has happened from the last meeting till now. We talked about having our police captain to talk about some of the police matters of things that have been.
Yeah, I dropped the ball on that one.
You may have had a couple of things that you were on your mind.
Yeah, I do want to talk with Scott, but yeah, it may be best to have that. You know, I have a feeling the December 18th meeting is going to be long, or there's a lot of material to cover. So, I will arrange that though.
And based on the discussion at Board of Ed last night, it sounds like he's got a lot of information, a lot of lessons learned, so it'll be an interesting discussion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, even if it works out better and keeps it more timely, even if we wanted to come in a half an hour early and do, ahead of time, do an executive session ahead of time, so it doesn't impact folks that would want to be here, and it doesn't keep the captain here any later than we need to.
Yeah, not a bad idea. I'll talk with Scott. Thank you. Anything else for general informal discussion?
I'm good tonight.
Sean, you gonna do the honors?
Yeah, I don't have anything under follow-up items, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.